Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, and welcome back to another video. And as part of the Ask SplitSuit a Question series, a bunch of people asked hand history questions. This one actually came privately via Facebook, and Reese prefaces the hand by saying, "Hi James, I've been religiously watching your videos and found all of them fantastic for rounding out my game. Until now, I've never had a situation where I couldn't look back and go, I messed up here, or I could have played better here. But this one kind of stumped me." So before we jump into the hand, Reese, I just want to say two quick things. One, I'm glad you're enjoying the videos and hopefully you're enjoying this one too. And then two is that it's awesome that you're doing the work off the table, going back, studying hands, looking at situations, and actually reviewing your lines very objectively. That's excellent, excellent work. Everyone watching this should be doing the exact same thing. Just want to give you props for doing that. So with all that said, let's look at the spot itself. So we have a limp. This is at 5 no limit on full tilt. So there's an open limb from C3. Here obviously decides to attack it. Totally happy with the size, totally happy with the hand selection. Get called by seat 8, get called by the limper, go 3-way to it, and end up flopping the nuts, which always makes life really, really easy. Check, donk bet from seat 3, and here decides to call. Okay, so my general rule of thumb is not to slow play. I just find that players, especially in limits like these, tend to make such massive, massive errors that you can just play really aggressively, play your big hands quickly, and make a lot more money. So it's just one of those where if we think about what kind of hand seat 3 is going to be donk betting here, I'm expecting it's going to be like some draws, maybe like 9x or 8x is trying to figure out what the heck's going on, and maybe the occasional bit of error, but ultimately from someone who open limped and then limp called pre-flop and then decides to donk, I assume they like their hand to some extent. Now exactly how much they like their hand, I'm not sure, but I assume that something like top pair is going to make a lot of mistakes. Something like the naked king of spades is going to make a lot of mistakes. And I'd really like to raise and start getting a lot of value in right this moment. So I don't think the call is necessarily terrible. I just really like raising because if you think about it, if you call, there's going to be a lot of turn cards that don't necessarily allow seat 3 to like make huge mistakes, right? Like what if it's the queen? Right, and this person has the naked king of spades. Are they going to make huge errors? Maybe, maybe not. If they have something like 8x, though, and the queen peels off, are they going to make a lot of errors? I don't really think they're going to make as many mistakes at that point. So because of that, I just raise right this moment and see how much this person wants to make a big pot. And again, this could be like my last easy chance to get value from like 9x, right? Because there's going to be a lot of turn cards to peel off that also 9x doesn't want to take very far, be it a spade, be it an overcard, whatever it is. So because of that, I'd like to see a raise here up to something like $1.50. I don't hate the call, especially if you think that seat 8 is kind of fishy and you could call, induce their call, and then go forward. But other than that, at least consider a raise in a situation like this. Seat 8 folds, go to the turn, which is a jack. He checks, and here decides to bet. Okay, so I feel like I say this in way too many of my videos, but unfortunately I'm going to have to say it again. I assume that seat 3 probably isn't very good. Open limp preflop, limp called, donk the flop, not necessarily things, at least all of those things that a good player would do in a particular hand. So because of that, I assume they're not particularly good, which means I don't need to give them 5-1 to get them to make an incorrect call. I could give them 3-1. I could give them maybe 2-1. I could give them a much worse price and they'll still make a lot of mistakes. I don't think we need to go to 45 cents here to induce 9x or the naked king of spades to make a mistake. I think we could fire this out for $1.25 and get the same amount of mistakes at a pretty high frequency. Now, maybe we don't always get action from 8x or 9x, and whatever. That, again, goes back to why we should have considered, or much more heavily done it, raise that flop. But as we got here, just bet larger, right? I mean, betting is great. Obviously, we want to be doing that, but we're leaving so much money on the table and giving good prices to things like 2-pair, weird sets, whatever. I'm not super worried about those kind of things. I'm more worried about missing value from draws that draw incorrectly or single pairs that this is really our last chance to make value from before, God forbid, again, the river pulls off a four to a straight or 4 flush or whatever, and now all of a sudden we make no money ever. So again, larger here for sure. Get called, board pairs on the 8 on the river, check, Here decides to bet, and again, way too small. Now, you're not going to get action a ton of the time, right? Because if he has something like the naked king of spades or naked queen of spades, you're never getting action here. But it's not like we can bet 95 cents and induce a check raise, right? We have no reason to think that C3 is capable of making that light. So because of that, I think this just needs to be something closer to like $2, and recognizing that you're not going to get action a ton of the time, but also recognizing that we left a lot of money on the table on previous streets. Okay, so in this actual hand, we actually end up getting check raised by C3, who leaves himself a whopping 9 cents back. Here decides to get after it, go for the whole thing, and I don't really even want to talk too much about this because it shouldn't happen, right? There should have been so much more money in the pot by the time we got to this river that if C3 did improve on something like 9-8 or pocket fours or pocket eights and banked quads, whatever it is, good for him, right? I mean, the issue is that we gave him a great price on the turn, that we let him off at the price he wanted to dictate on the flop. And ultimately, I just think we left some money on the table. You know, again, there were baby flushes that would have continued. There were second best everything that would have continued had we just put more money in earlier in the hand. In this exact situation, unfortunately, we do end up running into the boat, but whatever. Again, results don't really matter all that much. What matters is that the line we took was best. And I think the line we took here definitely needed some work. If nothing else, the bet sizes needed a lot of work. Again, the turn bet needs to be so much larger. As played, the river bet needs to be so much larger. We're just leaving money on the table by taking this exact kind of line. And this is one of those where, again, I think it all heavily boils back to the flop. A flop raise makes a tremendous amount of sense. I really would have liked to see one right there. But as played, again, bet sizing is going to be the name of the game on the turn and river. So Reese, thanks for the great hand, and if you or anyone else has a poker-related hand or question, feel free to leave it on our Google Plus page. Leave a link for that in the description box, and also please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this type of video. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck out there, and happy grinding.